Really, how can you get the most out of every kid, right? I always say it's a 2-lane road. We're going to give you everything we have. You give it back, there'll be 0 regrets, right? But you gotta let that guard down. You gotta let us guide you in this right direction. It definitely helps getting your foot in the door and letting these kids, they'll listen, But then it's the follow through. How you going to get them to where you want to go, where they want to go, right? They want to be a national champ. Talking about it's easy, right? Implementing and doing is very hard. It's not just the 2 hours upstairs in the room. It's the every single minute of the day. Are you doing the right thing? Are you making the right choice? Across the board with rest, with homework, with whatever it may be, just making those right decisions. And we're here to guide them and help them through that process. And sometimes it's hard. Other times you got guys that jump right in.
How are you guys feeling about this season?
Feeling good, First, great to be back and see the energy that these guys have and what Coach has put in place leading forward to this year, and just excited about watching these guys grow and compete and get better each time out. And so it's been exciting for me to see this growth just in this short period of time of the team so far. So excited.
Well, that's good. I think he's on target of what we're looking for, and I think the change with bringing Coleman in, having the experience of being a head coach for 8 years, it's kind of given us a boost a little bit, just the atmosphere and a little bit of disappointment the last 2 years. We know that. That's not something that you sit around and accept. That's something you change. And so for us, I think Coleman's been a nice change and put us in a good position to start the season well.
Coleman, you were gone for 9 years from Oklahoma State. Coach, why was it important to you to bring him back to your coaching staff?
Well, one, I think for our guys that we've recruited out of state and brought in, like Coleman, Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, Southern Pennsylvania, really a lot like Oklahoma. I remember the day we went down and recruited him and just saw a place that seemed rural Pennsylvania, and real similar. And I think for Coleman, I think always looked to maybe have a chance to come back sometime, and I think the way things fell gave us an opportunity to get him back. And the experience. I mean, he's a guy that's on that wall over here behind us, and one of our national champions, one of our world and Olympic medalists. Just adds to our strength and of the program, and continue to look forward to have guys think big and wrestle big.
Coleman, when you got that call asking you to come back and coach here, how did you feel?
I think he said, like you get in this game and I love coming to school here, the experience I had wrestling under Coach, and then training through the Olympics and coaching under him and really learning from him. So Stillwater and Oklahoma State have a special place and always have for my family and I, and just having the opportunity, right? That's all I lived my life for, is to have the opportunity to do what I want to do, and that's to now chase NCAA championships, world championships, Olympic championships as a coach. And what a better place to do it than the most historic place in any sport at the collegiate realm. And so just having that opportunity, it was awesome. Sort of surreal. Didn't know if it would ever happen, but I'm very a guy that's no regrets, and just wanted again to be a part of something that I truly love and believe in, and that's Oklahoma State.
Well, don't forget now, while he was here, he fell in love with an Oklahoma girl and married her.
Yeah.
So that helped a little bit.
Helped a little bit, having my wife being from the city, and being back around her parents, which it had been 9 years, and having young kids and them not seeing them grow up as much, so But it's this place is home. Stillwater's home to me, and it's really about the community and the people that are associated with the school and the town. So, couldn't be a better place.
You left, you went to UNC, 1 year as an assistant coach, 8 as a head coach of that program. What did you learn at your time in Chapel Hill?
Learned a ton, adversity, overcoming a lot, taking a program and really being, just wanting to win at the highest level. What we learned here and I was taught here, I sort of just wanted to take that into a place at Carolina and make it known as a wrestling school. Hey, we can do it here. We can chase titles. We can win NCAA championships. We can put people on world teams. We can chase team trophies, right? And that was the goal first and foremost. And really, the biggest thing of all that is create great humans, right? And I believe that us as coaches are at an integral part of these kids' lives at 18 years old to 22, and how can we make them ready for the real world, right? And it's because it is a brutal place, and that's all I want to do is just make better men and really win titles and do it the right way. And that's what I learned from Coach and being here, and that's all the goal was.
Coach, you spoke about recruiting Coleman when he was a literal kid. Now he has kids. How has your relationship evolved with Coleman from the time he was your athlete to now as your head assistant coach?
Well, I think, coaching a student athlete and also then becoming companions as coaches, it gets different. It gets competitive. I think we always we both have a competitive nature, and I think for Coleman, he made a lot of calls to me, asked me a few questions, things that he probably needed to be guided in at times. I think the challenge for him and me was two different challenges. I'm running a program that we expect to be making runs at things. He's running a program he's trying to build. And I think we look at wrestling, the universities look at wrestling in two different ways, which makes it a bigger challenge at North Carolina. Not that they haven't had a good program and not that they haven't committed to wrestling, it's just different, and you come from a program like here, and like he said, there's high expectations when he was coaching, and he delivered that, I think. What is success at the university you're at? Is it everyone assumes it's an NCAA championship, but it's not. When you look at Coleman's career as a head coach at 8 years, that's why he's here. What he did there, the balance, the maturity he showed, that's why he's at Oklahoma State right now.
Coleman, what do you think your biggest accomplishment was as the head coach of UNC?
I think it'd be the easy one would be just say having two-time national champ, on the mat. But I think it was a lot bigger than that. I think it was for me, it was the relationships of these kids and parents that I developed over the time, and raised the expectation, as Coach said. It was a good program, but my mindset was let's be great, and let's expect to win, right? Let's not just be part of the talk. We need to be in the mix with every recruit. They answer the phone and they're going to listen because it's the University of North Carolina, and that was something that I took pride in, of quote unquote, putting us back into those talks, right? And it wasn't easy by any means. There's some hard times through there, but I think that the biggest thing was just developing a culture that believed that they could come there to win titles and chase everything as a team. That was the goal, and that's where we were heading. And I think that they're well off on that way of just when they step foot in the room, they know that they can win a national title here, and there was no doubt in my mind, and he said it earlier, you got to think big to be big, and that's the only way I thought. I didn't think about any other thing. We're going to win titles. We're going to do this. Whether came in and finished 50th the first year, right? Like that's still the way I talked, and it just had to get the people in place and then develop, because there's twofold to that, right? Development is still the biggest thing that gets us over that hump, and I think that they were in a good spot, so I'm proud of the way it is now, and really looking forward to this next chapter of biggest thrill of my life was winning team titles here, and that's what we want to get back to.
Haven't won a team title since your time here. What would it mean to both of you to get that elusive number 35?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's something that we've been missing, and not that we haven't knocked on the door. Right now, we got to get ourselves competitive again, and so a few things have happened in the last couple of years, and it's not a reason to fall short, but if you do fall short, you pick yourself up quickly and you say, it's time for us to make sure we're focused on the right things, and the right things is being competitive again. I mean, real competitive. Win a national title, are we ready to do that right now? I have high hopes on this group, but it's also, looks to be in the distance a little bit for us right now. And that's okay. Doesn't mean we can't close that gap. I believe anyone you have has got a chance to excel beyond their beliefs. And we've done that here with a lot of guys. And for us right now, it's just taking the steps towards regaining some of our confidence, regaining some of our attitude, and just regaining some of our, really our history of who we are.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think it's, as competitive as it's ever been across the board, across the country. I believe that this is a place that's where we will be, right? And like you said, it's going to take work. It's going to get back to being competitive, having that swagger about ourselves, and knowing we're the best. And but I believe we have a group of guys that can propel us well on the way of chasing down number 35.
You both have talked about winning titles, winning championships, having the mindset of a winner. You both are winners. You've won national titles as an athlete, as a head coach. You've won Olympic medals. How do you think that helps your credibility when it comes to coaching a team?
Well, I mean, some of our greatest coaches never won a medal, Does it make a difference in today? Yeah, I think it does if we can use it and motivate people by it. I mean, being an Olympic gold medal is it's a great accomplishment, but if you can't use that to motivate others, then what good is it, right, for your program? You think about Coach Gallagher, a guy never wrestled. I mean, probably did more for the sport of wrestling than any man in the United States, maybe in the world. He didn't just create college athletics and grow college wrestling, not college athletics, but college wrestling and grow college wrestling. He grew at that time when he was a coach, he grew the world, The world were motivated by what was happening in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and Coach Griffith. Think of Coach Griffith, a man that high school coach in Tulsa, came to Oklahoma State and followed up. So, it's nice to have titles behind us, but we also got to be able to motivate student athletes to excel and not just talk about what we did. What are you going to do? How can I motivate you to be great? So make no mistake, it helps, but it's got to be something that I felt when I got here, is Frank Lewis, 1936 Olympic champion, a man I got to meet that won in Berlin, just visiting with him and talking to him was just like fired me up, his experience with his Olympic gold medal. And Yojo Utaki, who I stayed in touch with my whole career, I wanted to do something he did, and he won 2 Olympic gold medals, and a big reason for me to chase my second one was because I wanted to, be like Yojo, and so anyway, we need to always stay focused on what we can do for our student athlete.
Yeah, I think the coach said it best, right? Like these kids have to figure out their why. Why are they doing it? He figured it out pretty early of why and what he wanted to do. Having a medals, it was great when I did it, and it's what I wanted to do. It wasn't the same color as his, but it's one of those things where it's you just gotta, really how can you get the most out of every kid, right? I always say it's a 2-lane road. We're going to give you everything we have. You give it back, there'll be 0 regrets, right? But you gotta let that guard down. You gotta let us guide you in this right direction. It definitely helps getting your foot in the door and letting these kids, they'll listen, but then it's the follow through. How you going to get them to where you want to go, where they want to go, right? They want to be a national champ. Talking about it's easy, right? Implementing and doing is very hard. It's not just the 2 hours upstairs in the room. It's the every single minute of the day. Are you doing the right thing? Are you making the right choice? Across the board with rest, with homework, with whatever it may be, just making those right decisions. And we're here to guide them and help them through that process. And sometimes it's hard. Other times you got guys that jump right in.
How hard is it to help 18 to 22-year-olds not just find their why, but also be successful at getting to their why?
Well, I don't know. I don't look at it as hard. I look at it as a challenge. Like, hard is like getting up every day and wanting to do this, The challenge is your student athletes and the things that we continue to throw in their way to make it maybe the hard part you're talking about, the NILs, the portal, those type of things. That in my career after 30 years just was like somebody taking a pan and beating you over the head here. That's hard, because it's real. I mean, it's a real thing, and our public needs to know that. The NIL's real. We don't have a source of income in that NIL. You got problems. I was, totally against it from the very start, and I learned real quickly in a half a year, 6 months, I made a mistake, and so those are the challenges we have as coaches. I think that the hard part you're talking about is that. The easy part is going to practice, and for the most part, we're really dealing with kids that are intelligent, smart. The atmosphere is different than when I came through Oklahoma State, or when I say the atmosphere is just the level of importance academically. I think, the one thing the NCAA has done over a lot of years is create a system that has put a lot of pressure on coaches to have success academically. And I've been all for it. It's been a wonderful thing. And seeing what's happened in that process where, 30 years ago, I'd have 6 or 7 guys that I was worried about academically. Today I have 1, and that's really the difference. And so hard, there's nothing hard about it, other than some of the challenges we've had to face in the last couple of years. What is challenging for us is to bring a level of attitude and bring a level of want to the table each and every day to practice, to the expectations, raise your expectations. We don't want to just be All-Americans. We want to try to be national champions. In order to do that, you got to make some changes, and so that's the challenges I enjoy every day, is just seeing your student athletes in the room and seeing what level we can get out of them each and every day, because that's the key. Your practice is everything.
Yeah, I mean, Coach hit the nail on the head. Hard, I'm not sure. I enjoy this so much that I don't view it as that, right? Like you said, I think the hard is the internal things we put on ourselves each and every day. Rack our brains of how to get better, how to raise that bar. I think that we live our lives as competitors, that we want those challenges every day, right? Like, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have some internal challenges on how to get us here, where to go, what to do, sort of put myself out there. And that's what I think with an 18-year-old kid, right? We're coming in at a very, different time where, we sort of have to co-parent these kids, right? They're all raised differently, so you got to figure out what makes them tick, what makes them to get the most out, because they're all different. You know, and I learned that from him a long time ago. You know, you can be a little harder on some and not others, and you know, but you got to figure that out. We got to figure that out. That's our jobs. That's our duties.
Talking about the age difference, you guys get older, but your athletes stay the same age. As you get older and that age gap increases, what are the challenges of relating to your athletes?
It's a good question. I think it's been easier. I think these kids are smarter, intelligent. It seems like they have a good work ethic. I think they ask sometimes to be carried, you know, and that's not something we can do, you know. You got to carry yourself. I can help you, you know, and so the challenges are different, but it's better. You know, it's nice to see. You know, for the longest time, academics is what we're here for. You know, we haven't heard that in the last few years. It's been about money. It's been about different things. It's been about portal. You know, and we all got to constantly remind ourselves is that most of our student athletes are not going to be like the opportunity maybe that Coleman and I have had post college. That's a tough world. There's 6 guys now that get to go to the Olympics in the style that Coleman and I wrestled. Only 6, you know. So what's important here? Yeah, the important thing is to have you know, for me as a head coach here was always to create an environment where these guys love Oklahoma State wrestling. That's my first priority. When you know, you don't always get that either, especially when you're not wrestling and you think you should be wrestling, or you think that the coach is choosing someone over you. You know, that's an ugly place for a young kid. But for the most part, that's our goal. Make sure these guys love Oklahoma State wrestling, because we come and go, and then you guys are left. You know, and Coach Chesbro, Coach Joe C., my 2 coaches here at Oklahoma State, created that environment for me. Yeah, I loved it. Still today, I love it because of my experience with some of the older guys that I got a chance to meet, and some of the guys that really made a difference in talks and speaking with them. So I look forward to the next step.
Coleman, what's your favorite memory from your time as a wrestler here at Oklahoma State?
Winning those 2 team titles, bar none. You know, and probably the second one, that 4th one in 06. I came in 05. We had 5 individual champs and didn't lose a dual meet. And in 2006, we had lost a couple dual meets. We still, at least we believed we were by far the best team. I didn't have a question of it. I don't know what the perception of the country. I didn't really care. I just cared about what was here and around us. So I never really thought about that. But looking back on it, you know, there was probably some people that questioned that, and seeing, you know, just as a community, as a team. It wasn't about one individuals. Again, we took some losses that year, plus at the NCAA tournament, some losses. You know, I remember I lost first round and fought my way back. Yeah, you know, so you had to like we had some of those hurdles, that adversity, but we still won pretty handedly as a team, and it took everybody. Not saying the other ones didn't. That was just probably, you know, to me, it's when you can celebrate with everybody, like he said, whether they, you know, were starting every match or they weren't, right? They had pride in it because they were part of it, right? It's not just the 10 out there. It's everybody that's associated with the program, and that was by far my best memory.
Coach, what's your favorite memory of Coleman's time here at Oklahoma State?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of them. Losing first match that year in 2006, and then coming back and being an All-American, you know, not even wrestling, you know, close to what he did in that first match. Just that first match just wasn't ready, and maybe we didn't get him ready, but, you know, what you follow up with is always what you're made of, right? And he followed up with a series of matches that just ran himself right into being an All-American. You know, winning a national championship, you know, nothing can outdo him making the Olympic team in Times Square. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, it's just like, wow. Kenny Mundy was we were together.
Eric,
and Eric,
you,
and
Zach on the corner.
I mean, all of us, yeah.
Kendall.
But I think it was Kenny and I in the corner, right?
Yep.
It was,
Yep.
and Zach and Eric was there, and you're trying to make the team, and it's one match, and it's in Times Square. The place was packed. Everyone, I mean, it was a beautiful setting, and who gets to make the Olympic team in the middle of Times Square? You know, you would think that they would never put a mat in the middle of Times Square and stop the traffic and everything else. But New York City, Times Square, Coleman Scott, Oklahoma State, one of those memories that I guess we can chalk up for Oklahoma State that, wow, you know, what a moment in time for all of us.
Yeah, Butch is waiting for the shot and trying to counter off of it. There it is. Scott in deep. And that's big points for Scott. Oh, that's going to do it. They gave him a 5 here, but that's not over.
Well, the review is 5-point throw.
Traveled hip over the top.
And the 5-point throw ends it. So they do look again. And the 5-point throw seals it, and the Olympic berth for Coleman Scott.
2012 Olympics in London, you were an assistant coach. What was it like to coach one of your student athletes to an Olympic bronze?
Let me go back to the semis. You know, Coleman literally just came an eyelash away from being an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, it was tight, tough, was right there. Easy to walk away from that and drop your head like, oh my gosh, I had it. Instead, doing the opposite. I got one match to bring something home. That's hard to do, you know. It's really hard. I've always said it's a lot easier to chase a gold medal than settle for a bronze. It's way easier because you come off a loss, something maybe you didn't expect, something you put the effort out, you did everything properly to get there, and it didn't materialize. Now you got to go for the bronze. And I think one of his greatest matches was his bronze medal match that he had in the Olympics, maybe in his career. He went for it, you know. It's like, I'm going home with something, and a bronze is, I'll be happy with. And I think once you make that decision, and somewhere in that time between the finals match and that bronze match, you got to check yourself. Like, what am I going to do now? You know, I came here to win a gold. Now my only choice is a bronze medal. You got to check yourself, and you got to say, I got to get my spirit up and think that this bronze medal is the greatest opportunity for me in the world. And I think that's what he did, you know. And so there's a lot of character involved in that because his opponent wasn't an opponent that was easy. And I'll just say, you know, it was real pleasure to see him and the way he responded after his very tight loss and winning a bronze medal.
He drives him over that into the danger position. That looks like a danger position. It certainly is. It's 2 points. It's a 3-1 lead now, and time is up. And Coleman Scott, in the last 30 seconds of period 3, has won a bronze medal for the USA.
What was it like for you to have Coach Smith there?
Oh, it was awesome. I wouldn't have been in that position like he just described without him. I was distraught. I never thought of anything other than a gold medal in that moment when you lose and it was close. You know, and you got to wrestle and 2-3 hours later. Like it wasn't the next day; it was a couple hours later. So I remember leaving the arena and going back to the hotel room and sort of being distraught, and then really them just talking to me, saying a few things, and you know I had to change right then. Right, because like he said, it's either you finish with and you leave London with a bronze medal or nothing. There's nothing else in that moment, and never know if you'll never get an opportunity again to be in that position. And so I had to change my mindset 100% flip, and I never thought about taking home another color. That was it. I had one track mind, which I think propelled me to that position. I don't think without that mindset I'd ever even be in that position. Grateful that I was able to spend all that. I remember that summer we went to Baku for two or 3 weeks for World Cup, to the wrestle-off, acclimation camp in Belarus, and having him there was my sense of comfort, was my sense of ease. I show up to practice, just do as coach said. He put me on my own training plan towards the end, and other guys were doing this, and I was sort of going a little bit harder. I remember to this day, and him, and I remember Jamel Kelly coming up to me, and I was, because a couple of the guys, the other Olympic guys were going, man, you guys are going awful hard today doing matches this close. And I said, I mean, coaches, whatever coaches got for me, I don't care. He's the greatest. Why wouldn't I listen? And Jamel said, hey, he had me do the same thing. You're ready. And that just, having the community of Cowboys around you and coach leading us all, right? I had no doubt in my mind that I wasn't prepared. And it wasn't my day, but I was prepared to be the best.
Part of it was your day.
Yeah.
Winning that bronze. Yeah.
Part of it, not the whole thing.
Yeah, not the whole thing.
Coleman, it was just announced that you will be in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2024. What does that honor mean to you?
I never thought about it. And Leroy called me late, that day, and I sort of didn't know what to say, because it never registered with me that I would even have that opportunity. So grateful is an understatement. I think that I look back, the first thing I did was look back at everything that led me to this point, which I believe is probably one of the pinnacles of our sport, right? Of the people in the tribe that got me there, because it was very little me, right? Especially growing up, it's your coaches, your parents, your family, all the way through high school, and then being guided to make what I view as the greatest decision to come here under coach, and having Mark Branch and Pat Smith and Eric and all these guys, Zach, all these guys that influenced me and sort of took me to that step. Just so fortunate to have a great upbringing, and I think my parents, they did an unbelievable job of guiding that in the right way, because I think that me having 3 kids, I can understand how there can be wrong ways to do it. I think that they did an unbelievable job at just guiding me, putting me in front of the right people, and stepping back sometimes, and then also knowing when to step in. And that's the first thing that I thought of. Because I never envisioned myself being part of the Hall of Fame. Never. It was never a thought. And I don't know why. I don't know if I didn't put myself on that level or not. So internally, it was just gratefulness for everything, and like I said, coming here, meet my wife, and I think she really pushes me in a certain way. And without her, I don't know if that would even be an opportunity leading up to the Olympics and everything else, and all that stuff. So just having everybody all in one on the same page is probably what I thought the most of.
Coach, what was your reaction when you found out?
Well, my brother Leroy, who runs the National Hall of Fame, told me literally last week, and I wasn't surprised. I was pretty excited. What I was really excited about is that we have 2. Two guys that have, with Hada being the second one, Japanese Tadaki Hada, who we've had 4 Japanese here, and all 4 of them won Olympic gold medal, and was
of them national champs.
Yeah, all of them national champs. But I think it's something that when you're picked and people choose you for the Hall of Fame, it's not everything what you've done as an athlete. It's also what you've done in wrestling, to advance wrestling. So I think with Coleman being young and being coaching for 8 years at North Carolina was part of it. The success of how he brought wrestling and became a sport of importance there. Along with being a national champion and a bronze medalist, there's just not a lot of them, right? And so I think you go into the Hall of Fame a lot of times, it's based on performance, but it's also based on things you've done in wrestling. And I think Coleman has taken a good attitude that whatever you're going to do, you're going to grow wrestling. We're in that position, you know. I mean, we've been in that position for a long time, you know, and we're seeing some changes right now where we're no longer naked out there with 40 athletes and we're a male sport, you know. We got a chance for women's wrestling to really take off, and we've seen that, you know. And so when you coach for 30 years and you're challenged sometimes with some of the things that are just, you know, not balanced, like wrestling. It wasn't balanced for a long time, but we got a chance to balance it out in the future. Challenges right now, yeah, there's a lot of challenges, but women's wrestling is one thing that can give wrestling a chance to really get balanced.
When do you think Oklahoma State might see a women's wrestling program?
Well, you know, we talked about it a couple of years ago, and then all of a sudden, you know, the world changed in college athletics, and I thought any AD has to step back and go, whoa, we got to figure this out. So I think as we balance through this, portal and the NIL and these type of things and figure out where we're going with it, I think that we have a chance and hopefully have a real chance of bringing women's wrestling to Oklahoma State. I just think that it's something that the state of Oklahoma, you look at the state of Oklahoma and the growth of women's wrestling, it's been nice to see. And we have some programs in NAIA and in Division III, I believe, or Division II that are competing in women's wrestling. So it's a great opportunity, you know, but it's got to be the right timing.
Bringing it back to this season and this team, what are the expectations?
Well, I think the expectation is really it's what we bring to our student athlete, and I think that we have had a change in our team. We've had a change in coaching staff. Not that it was bad before, but the change. You got to capitalize on change. I think change is good, you know, and I think it's been good for us up to this point. The expectations is a lot of the same, you know. I mean, we wrestle hard, perform well, and make sure that whatever we're doing, we're building on Oklahoma State. You know, it's just such a nice thing to be able to have a legacy of a program for over 100 years, and when we need to ride on it, get on it. You know, don't do everything for yourself. Be a guy that I want to be one of those guys on that board over here, our individual national champions. I want to be on one of these boards over here, a world or Olympic medalist, because our history is can't change it. It's good, and you have to embrace it. Times like right now, where you've had 2 mediocre seasons, you embrace that. Thank God we have that. You know, it shouldn't cripple you. You know, it should be something you grab a hold of and embrace, and it be a real motivator for you.
I think my expectations, he said, just leave them better than we were, right? Let's just keep getting better, not worry about the end result, but worry about the execution of everything you're going to do and do it the right way, and the result will take care of itself, right? And just wrestling for somebody, you know, something bigger than you, right? And it'll always take care of itself, right? Wrestle for your team, wrestle for this program. The result will take care of itself, you know. And I think that we've got a group that will do that, and you know. I'm just excited about where they're at.